Is it? Woo! Yeah.
Oh, and it didn't. Just the littlest whisper.
Like a pro.
That is
Like a
if
pro.
this fundraising thing doesn't work out for you, that is a job.
You know, I mean, it's always good to have backups, right?
Yeah, I love it.
Coming up on this episode of Raise.
There are so many stories I can tell you when the moment where my values and the organizational values met in the middle and where there was a bit of disconnect. There has to be a degree where you are connected to yourself and you can say that.
Yeah.
I use the word that other people use, which is energize. How you like to be communicated with, ways you like to receive feedback, how you like to work, even just being asked those questions.
Hello and welcome to Raise. This is the podcast for fundraisers by fundraisers, where we talk about insights and strategy, professional development, and all those crunchy conversations that you just need a little bit more space for. So let's imagine that we're sitting around a pub with a glass of whatever you fancy, and have a great conversation. So I'm Christine Neubeiser.
And I'm Sian, Wilkinson-Iles, and we are joined by Esther Kwaku with us today. So welcome, Esther.
So good to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
I'm so excited to have you.
We've been talking about having
For a
you
long
on the
time.
podcast for so long.
Yeah.
So long.
Finally here.
So exciting.
So before you introduce yourself, shall we cheers?
Yes.
Cheers.
And so to raising money voices and glasses.
glasses.
Voices, glasses.
Oh, these are plastic, so they haven't got a good clink.
Well, but they're better than like the little disposable ones that we
They
had
are. These are
before.
more sustainable.
Very good.
We elevate every episode.
You just need bubbles sometimes, don't you?
Do you need on a Friday?
what are
and
we
it's been a
drinking?
long week.
Rosé Prosecco.
Correct.
Of
yes.
course.
Obviously.
How else are you going to start the weekend?
I appreciate that we had a whole bottle of Rosé Prosecco that has fit neatly into 3 glasses.
That's the upgrade from the small glasses, you see.
We don't have to top up throughout the episode.
Yeah. I love it. Very efficient.
Yes. So, Esther, do you want to introduce yourself so our lovely listeners know who you are
Yes.
and why we're so excited?
Wow. So my name is Esther Kwaku, and gosh, I've done so many things. I've been in this sector for a super, super long time. I'm not going to give away how many. Well, about 20, 25 years, somewhere in between there. And my background is in international development. I've worked in fundraising. I've worked across, different parts of the sector. Right now, I'm doing what I absolutely love and what gives me joy, which is I help people have really powerful conversations. That is like at the core of my work, and really promoting joyful work, how we can get really close to purpose and joy, and just we're not here to burn out, right?
Yeah.
So that is at the core of my work. So I speak, I do classes, master classes, I facilitate, and I coach as well. So yeah, here I am.
I feel like that phrase, like, I'm not here to ban out, is like, that's what I needed to hear today.
Maybe that should be our new tagline.
We did not come here to burn out.
We did not come here to ban out. Oh, it's so good.
Yeah.
So good.
And so just for like kind of full context, you've done away days with both of us. So you did one at THT back a couple of years ago with the entire fundraising directorate. And then you just most recently, you've done one in February with my team, which we were just talking about, dragged you about to Stroud for in the middle of, literally dragged you out to the middle of nowhere. It's like this one toilet.
Wait, in the whole city? Or like, no, just this
No,
place?
just like, yeah, it was like a very rural location. So
Beautiful.
beautiful, like stunning. But it was, yeah,
It was
a bit in the middle of
I've
nowhere.
I've never facilitated in an environment like that before. It was just beautiful, and I'm very keen on lovely spaces because I think it just brings out more creativity as well and joy. So yeah, thank you. That was an absolute treat for me.
Well, it's true. My team still talk about it. So, and actually, I told them you were coming on this evening. They were like, "Oh, really looking forward to the episode."
Love that.
But then there's a bit of jealousy. I'm like, do you like her more than me?
I love that.
Maybe.
Yeah, probably.
We're okay with that.
And do you want to tell us a little bit more? So today we're going to be talking about that kind of finding your purpose, like you said, having powerful conversations. Why is that so important to you?
I think it's really important because, it's really hard to find or get a definition about purpose. It means so many different things to different people. So I won't give you the textbook definition, but why purpose is really important for me is because it really is that thing that anchors you, the thing that you get out of bed for, the thing that you live for almost, the thing that you must do. So that during times when you're wavering, we've all had those moments, 2024 did a number on me. It was a tough year. During those moments, the purpose is the thing that's going to keep you really rooted. So that's why it's really important during those times of burnout, during the times when, you are in doubt or you're having a bit of imposter syndrome, or I quite believe in that all the time.
Well, we had a whole thing about how we don't use that word.
Wow, there you go. Alignment, I love it.
Yeah, we're there.
So, it's the thing that keeps you really rooted, and it helps you to navigate to the short, medium, and long term as well. But I think more than anything, we're not just doing the roles that we do to have a career. We're not career change makers. We're doing something to get some kind of meaning, whether that's in our role or outside. So I think purpose is really important, both for work and in life as well, and all of the things that you are yet to discover about yourself that you don't really realize.
It's incredible, actually, because I have this conversation often with people outside the sector who are like, why in the world do you work in the charity sector, in the international development sector, in like the UK-based charity sector? Like, why have you chosen? Because it seems a little intense, seems a little like you're doing a lot for a lot less than you would get in the private sector. And those things are very true, but I think fundamentally it's because the sense of why we do what we do and like the change that you bring to the table with your sense of purpose, like the change of like what your organization is driving for, the fact that you're contributing to whatever cause it is that you are supporting in that moment. And it goes so deeply into like a value system.
Yes, yeah. It really does. There are so many stories I can tell you when the moment where my values and the organizational values met in the middle and where there was a bit of disconnect. It's a whole nother thing.
I think we've all had those.
We've all had those moments, right? But it does really link deeply to your values. There have been moments when I have quit my job, like completely quit the job, quit the sector. It's not something that I'm telling everyone to do, but actually it's really liberating. When there's no backup, there's no strategy, there's no team supporting you, and you just have you to stand your ground. What do you believe in, and what cause are you, here for? What do you exist for? Is a really super powerful question. And your values, see, I don't, you ask people, like in my work, I ask people what their values are, and they kind of tend to come up with things which are very valid, but they tend to be, truth and honesty and, respect and all of those things. And I'm like, yeah, great. But actually, where do you spend your time?
Yeah.
Where do you...
And your money.
And your money. And your energy. What do you spend your time doing? So the social, all of those questions, once you start with those kind of questions, that's where you can really surface values. And it's really interesting once you start bringing them into your place of work, whether that's, in a physical building or not. But so interesting.
Does that mean your value is TikTok shop?
I have only bought 7 items on TikTok shop in my life. But I doom scroll. I'm a doom scroller. I am a doom scroller. I can't get away from it. So that is.
I've had to set a timer on my phone just for that. Yeah, just for well-being, because I did notice a difference when I was doom scrolling. You look up and it's like, where's the hour gone?
Yeah.
The same hour that I'm supposed to be doing this other thing that is really supposed to propel my career forward.
Yeah.
I'm looking at kittens. Really cute kittens,
But
I'm looking at they are
so
cute.
cute.
You know, but I have set a time, I've set some parameters
Yeah.
just to
Yeah,
kind of
just
like,
to-
you know.
And it's a thing too where you're like, these are strangers. Like I've got things that like real things with real people in my life that I need to like connect with and do.
Yeah.
But then I don't text anyone back either, so I'm like doom scrolling and not texting anyone back. So it's a
Yeah.
really good combo. But I think like I thought what you were saying earlier about kind of like that value and like that kind of like real purpose in work is so important. Actually, like I've always been really picky about who I work for, because for me, there's got to be that like if I'm as a fundraiser and I'm out there being like, hey, this is amazing, you need to come give money to this thing. I've got to really personally like deeply believe in that for me to feel like I've got that authenticity. And so like I'll sometimes get like recruiters come to me with really great jobs and I'm like, I love the job, but I'm not the right person for this job because like it's just not something I know much about, or it's I don't have life experience in it, or I don't like it's not the right one for me.
And that's because you know, to a degree, Sian, as well, you've done that inner work as well, because you know it doesn't come from anywhere, does it? You've there has to be a degree where you are connected to yourself and you can say that, right? And you can say, actually, first and foremost, I want to bring, you know, my authentic self. I want to really care about this organisation, not just kind of faux care on the surface, or do it as a, you know,
Well, because that tires you out. There's only so long you can do that. But I think one of the questions that then pops into my head is like for somebody who's just starting out in their career, who maybe who's wants to work in the charity sector, not exactly sure what type of fundraiser they're going to end up being. They're kind of dabbling. Maybe they're like just a general events assistant. Like, how do you take at that level to find that connection when there's also the pressure of like just having a job?
And like I need to pay my mortgage and I need to.
I mean, there is a reality. Well, firstly, we can change your mind.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't even know how else to answer that.
But then like I think that's important, like because people
real talk.
Yeah, real. This is definitely real talk. Yeah,
because I feel like people get very set on like this is the path, and like that path is not a straight line.
Yeah.
But it's very easy to think it should be a straight line.
I know, and let's face it, most of us fell into the charity sector.
Yeah,
we fell in, or we took a temp job and it became a permanent job, or well. In my school of fundraising anyway. But the advice that I would give to someone starting out in the sector or any place is definitely there is so much power in knowing your strengths, right? So much power in knowing your strengths. So I think, you know, values, yes, too, and they can be fixed and some of them can be transient, but actually just knowing where your superpowers are. I don't know. I just think that's always something that from when I was 12, when I was an MC and a rapper, back in the day.
As you do.
And I loved words and I loved playing with words and I loved writing and I thought actually I'm a really good writer. My very first job was at Cancer Research UK before, way before in their old name. And I thought, I know I can write. I know that. Yeah. I know I can write. And I was a legacy admin person. I was kind of like writing all the copy. And I thought, that's something that I'm going to really take with me. And I think, I don't know what it is. I don't really know whether we have a sense or, if I was starting my career from the beginning with there's so much information and there's so much supposition about who you should be or, whether people are really as connected into what their strengths are, even if it's just 3 things, you absolutely smash.
Yeah.
And there are tools out there to do that. And you both know, I've both mentioned different tools, assessments, they're a bit divisive, but even just something like a quick tool to say, what are my top 5 strengths? You can use that in CVs, you can use that in interviews, you can use that to do your elevator pitch or your shop window.
Yeah.
But knowing your 5 strengths, I think, which can change over time, super important to have in your back pocket when you're starting out with your career.
One of my favorite things that I just say in life is if I do something, I'm like top 10 skill. Because I'll be like, this is top 10 skill. Yeah. Turns out I have 40 top 10 skills. I do. It is important because it is kind of how you. I think the freedom to explore those strengths too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's really interesting. So I've got a new line manager at work, and so in my first kind of like one-to-one with her, she sent us like kind of some questions, some really, really good induction questions. Actually, one of my favourite inductions I've ever done with a line manager. And sorry.
I won't take that personally. Everything is fine. Just going to do that.
And mainly because it was very similar to the inductions I do.
Yeah.
But I've never been on the other side of like someone doing it to me. And one of the questions she asked was like, what's your superpower? And I actually like really panicked. Like I text Christine, I text some of my team, I text one of my colleagues, and I was like, can you tell me what you think I'm good at? Yeah. And actually really interesting, all three of them came back with the same answer, which like I loved.
Which was?
So it was that I hold like high challenge and high support well.
Yeah.
So that like balance between being like ambitious and being like, we're gonna go out and get this, like, you know, but also being like, but we're going to do it as a team, and I've got your back, and we're going to do it together, and I'm going to support you through it, and you're not like, I'm going to catch you if you fall. Like that kind of balance I think is quite hard to strike. And I think, that was like really interesting that all three people came back with that kind of like feedback.
I think it can also be hard to do in different organizations. I think the culture of how organizations work and operate don't always facilitate that, and so the ability to be able to bring that in different places, and you've been able to do it in several different organizations, is like, that's more than just like, because it's easy to do here, like it's a true skill.
I mean, give me some more wine and I'll tell you some more.
Party tricks will.
I was going to say, what's
What is your superpower?
My superpower. So I use the word that other people use, which is energize.
I love that.
Yeah.
Energize.
Yeah.
It's and the thing is, it's the thing that I can do even when I'm knackered.
Yeah.
Like I can still somehow put on, whether it's getting on stage or kind of showing up for an hour in a coaching session that I think, oh, you got to push through this.
Yeah.
I really can, but I think it is because I love what I do.
Yeah.
I really, really do. So it just, I can switch it on, and I can also function. I can manage it really well. Like, energy management is so underrated for anyone, right? It's like how to manage your energy with others, with yourself, in your body, like how it moves through your body.
Yeah.
So I think I've got a really good handle on that. And it's come over time, obviously, after several burnouts.
It's kind of like being a thermometer.
It is. It really is, though.
Well, I was going to say, one of the things I love about like the away days I've done with you as well is that you match the room.
Yes.
So it's not like you go in like all guns, kind of like energized, blazing, like top of the scale. Like the energy is there, but it's matched to like
I love that.
the feeling in the room. And because I think like if you just like go, and the room wasn't there, you'd like lose them. But it's something I've really noticed about, like,
really
working with
appreciate that. I really, really appreciate that as well. I'm also, I never take things for granted or assume that I've got this set of skills and it's fixed. You know, I'm constantly learning from reading the room and hearing you feedback, things like that. But also, I think I've both asked you, who are we designing this for?
Yeah.
Right? Because it could be, I remember one mistake I made where I designed an away day, and I'm an extrovert, right? And, you know, I'll be the one jumping on the table going, come on! I'm going to be spilling my result. You know, come on! You know, and I was that kind of leader, I was that kind of manager. I was the one where when I was up, my team was up. Yeah. When I was in a bit of a funk, my team was also. And so it is actually, it really does to be aware of that. And I remember designing this whole away day, and then having the person who commissioned me say, actually, they're mostly introverts. And I went, shit. Yeah. And I had to redesign. Sometimes I have to sometimes I'm live redesigning in the moment, right? We did that.
Well, you did that.
And the
you like pulled me over to the side and you were like, we're going to change this. I was like, yeah, I think that's a great idea.
Superpower number 2.
It was actually round number 3 because you designed one away day and then we met and I was like, this is where the team are at. And you're like, okay, this is not going to last. Yeah. So we did a second redesign. And then, like you said, we had to redesign not me, you redesigned.
In the moment.
In the moment as well because But
it made the biggest difference because it made that day really successful. But I've seen you do that like in much smaller group sessions, like when you've done master classes on kind of finding connections and finding your sense of purpose and that type of thing in those smaller places, but also commanding like stages in conferences and getting people like riled up at the right moment, or like giving them a space to take a breath. I think the first message I ever sent you was because I saw you speak at IFC.
Yeah.
And it was right after the pandemic. It was like the first in-person one after the pandemic.
Yeah. And everyone was like this,
like
in the seas.
so tight.
Yeah.
Like, because so many people went.
Yeah, well, no, but like the space, but also like I think the emotion. They were like so tightly wound.
Right.
And Esther came on stage, and she's like doing this whole. I won't do the whole speech, but I remember one of the very first things she said is she's like, "We're all just gonna take a collective breath right now," and you could literally feel the whole audience just totally change, and it was incredible. And I was like, I need to work with you. I don't know how I'm going to work with you, but this is going to happen right now. So I sought it out.
I think that's it. And, you know, my voice is shaking as I'm doing this because I'm like, I know it's needed and I'm just going to do it. So I'm just like, just do it. I feel like they, like, I just, you know, because they're, yeah, everyone was literally like this. Someone said that they were stood at the back of the room and they collectively saw shoulders drop.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know, and the thing is, when your shoulders are dropping like that, you're breathing a lot more deeply. You're telling your body that you're not in survival mode. Everything is okay. You can listen more. You're more receptive. You're more likely to then sense what's going on. So it's like preparing that groundwork, like in facilitation or in coaching. It's like, comes first. It's just, it's so important.
Yeah.
So I'm not doing it as a, you know, hey, this is
Yeah.
what I can do. It's actually, I want you to feel good hearing this and to really be able to
receive
be
it.
in the space. Yeah.
I was thinking about the other end of the spectrum, from like somebody starting their career to maybe somebody who is not necessarily like a head of, although could be, or a director, but has a team and needs to help their team find their sense of purpose and kind of maybe reconnect. There's a lot of changes that have been going on in the sector. There's obviously been like a lot of redundancies and a lot of restructures and a lot of challenging things with aid cuts and all sorts of mess. So how, on like from like a practical, like small level, could somebody who manages a team just start to help their team find their sense of purpose again? I do like how I said I wasn't going to ask like really hard questions.
I'm just thinking, because it does depend. Like you say, there's so many different things going on in organisations. There are ones that are in firefighting mode to, you know, in so many different places. But I would say, if you know your team really well, you get a sense of, you know, just the team energy. I think just as a starting place, if I'm a leader and a manager, I really want to get to know my team members innately, right? You can tell, right? You can tell the ones that are a bit like, you're not quite here, or the ones that are like giving it their all. And that's where I would always start, is that kind of check-in, so that people feel included as well. There's no point bringing everyone together and then expecting them to all, you know, do that whole round robin of, okay, you know, this is how we check into our purpose. No, we've all got stuff going on. We've all got stuff going on. So I think something like a little audit, or do you remember I showed you that team preferences sheet?
Yes.
There's very simple tools, like use the tools, right? Very simple preferences around how you like to be communicated with, ways you like to receive feedback, how you like to work, even just being asked those questions, even if you're not into implementation phase, but being asked those questions. Oh my God, I so want to like completely transform the onboarding process.
Right. Yeah.
Not inductions, you know. Onboarding.
Interesting.
Next level. Anyway.
We talked about this though in our episode with Damien. In this very studio. Where we talked about how when you bring people on board in organizations, so many times that's such a broken process, or it's like so last minute, or you're just pulling it together, and it's literally like you pulled a binder off a shelf, you're like, here you go.
Yeah, go do.
Exactly. Or we'll arrange meetings with each, department head or what have you. So
and always at the wrong time.
Always
right at the beginning when you don't even understand what your job is like how you're.
Well, exactly, and why not do it on the way? I don't get it. So one of the things I'm researching quite deeply is that concept of happy onboarding, but also happy exits.
Yeah. What does a happy exit look like? Or is that TBC?
Well, it's TBC. I think there are ways to have more adult conversations around this isn't working. Before you get to redundancy, restructure, or performance management, just real talk conversations. So I'm getting into that. I'm doing a survey over the year, which is going to look at, because it's linked to joy. And actually, I think more conversations need to be had.
And it's really hard too. It's hard to have those conversations. Like having a hard conversation about like, you need to do this in your performance. That's one thing. But like, there's so many rules about the types of conversations you can have sometimes when it gets to those more challenging conversations.
Protocol,
like
due diligence.
It's gotta have this, it's gotta have that. Like these tick box exercises. You're taking something that's human, like literally a human relationship, and you're just making it fit into a form.
Right.
Yeah, I think the other thing is like, so obviously they're kind of very formal kind of exits, and I think also just if someone's leaving for another job, like I go out of my way, like the first thing I will say is congratulations. Like before you even dive into can we counter, like what does this mean for me, when are we going to go and recruit, all of that panic mode. That's amazing. I'm really glad you found a job that you're really excited about. I'm really proud of you. Well done. Like I think it makes such a big difference to someone handing in their notice, because otherwise it becomes about like the impact of that on you and not about this thing that they've achieved, which is really important.
I had this amazing person who worked for me once at several organizations ago, and she's doing amazing in her career. But she...
Is it me?
You are doing amazing. You're doing amazing, sweetie. Kris Jenner. But I'm not talking about you. But she was... no, she was great. She was working at the officer level, but she was just performing like well above officer level. And so we were going to do a restructure. I really wanted her to go for a manager role if she felt confident to. At that moment, it didn't work. But she went for one outside in the arts, which was her passion. And she got that, and she sent me this beautiful thank you note, and I still have it. It was just this really sweet moment where she was like, I wouldn't have had the confidence to do it if you hadn't helped me do these other things. And I was like, yes, this is it. This is like why you do the things.
That's the kind of person you are, though, Christine.
Like
both
I
of you.
I keep those notes. Like I've had, like, exactly that. Like those notes that your team write you when they're leaving or you're leaving. Like I just think I've kept all of mine because I think they're so powerful.
I see. So the question that you were asking about team purpose and what do you do as a manager? See all these things that we're talking about. It's all of that. It's not it. It's the strategy and the mission and the North Star and all of that. But actually, it's those things. You can call them moments that matter.
Yes. Is that where you got the moments that matter from?
No, I actually got
It's a
moments
similar
that matter.
concept, though, right?
Yeah, similar concept, but I got moments that matter from Mike Johnston. From HGC. Because he talks about it from a supporter journey perspective.
Exactly.
But moments that matter as a manager as well.
Exactly. You can apply them there as well. It's how other people are seeing how you congratulate a colleague who's leaving. It might be a newbie that's seeing how, it's the way you behave, the integrity that you have, which is the thing that you do even when no one is looking, like how you show up anyway, right? The things that you do anyway. So I think in terms of team purpose, it's all of those things that you would put in your own purpose statement / manifesto, and it's a bit of a tricky word to use, but what kind of binds you together. I'm working with an amazing organisation. Can I say who they are?
If you feel comfortable,
I want to say who they are. You know why? Because they deserve the big ups, right?
All right, let's do it. Let's pick up them.
It's the Alder Hay Children's Charity. I have never seen an example of, they call it their staff charter or their team values. And it's just the best example of values that I've seen anywhere in any organisation. And you'll know that Alder Hay Children's Hospital is the most famous children's hospital in the UK. It's renowned for its innovation. It's just pioneering work, and you feel that. I went on a tour not too long ago. I walked through the doors, and it felt like I was like in Teletubby land, because it's based on and it really felt. It didn't feel like a hospital at all. I did their away day as well, and by the end I said, you all really get along. Am I imagining this, or you all really get along? And they were like, and I was like, and you really implemented the 4-day work week, and I'm like, and no one deviates, and they were like, well, yeah, and I'm like, but I don't understand. This isn't normal.
This isn't what happened.
And it shouldn't be, right? I shouldn't be so surprised, but I was really surprised, and I love that. Now, every organization, no organization is perfect, no team is perfect, but I was just really encouraged because they had their purpose down. They had their purpose down, and they're building, and it shows up in their results, in their fundraising results, in their success, in the way they treat each other. I felt really safe as a facilitator in that space.
That's so...
So, Alder Hay.
Good shout out.
Stories are coming.
That's really special because you don't often feel like people don't often think about how the facilitator feels in those situations. So I think that's a really special moment. We should probably
we've had the
warning
sign.
Warning.
It goes really quickly, doesn't it?
It does. Once you get into it, it's like
it really does.
Yeah,
with the editing.
It's the point where you'd be like, another round.
Yeah.
We're nowhere near this conversation.
I mean, it's
You're welcome back on at any time.
There are stories for days. I mean, is this getting to the heart of? Because I know it's about purpose, but I think there's so many layered contexts to purpose as well. And it does mean different things for everyone. Yeah. And I think, I don't know, I think back to times when I have left organisations. So, the reason why I became facilitator and the reason why I trained as a coach is because I was sat around one too many SLT meetings, leadership team meetings, board table meetings, knowing the conversation could go better, and knowing that I could make a difference, but I just didn't know how.
Right.
And I think that's not unique to me. It's probably unique. We've all felt that at some point. So we go and train, or, but finding the time to train. There are other things around finding the time, finding the space, the back-to-back meetings that happen, like carve out that time to develop yourself, no matter what stage of your career journey that you're in.
It's so important.
So important.
I think the idea that you need to be the master of your own development.
Yeah.
Like, your organization can enable it, they can fund it, they can help with it, but you have to take ownership of that to get there.
Yeah. So, Esther, the question we ask everybody at the end of the episode, what is the one piece of advice everybody who's listening today you would want them to take away from our conversation?
Step into your bigness. Step into your bigness. Yeah, there's so much going on in the world. It's a very wobbly time geopolitically, socially. Step into your bigness, and don't be intimidated by spaces where you want to make a difference, and maybe you don't quite feel into it, or that role that you want to go for, the project that you want to take on. The world and the sector needs more people who are bringing that entrepreneurial spirit, working outside of conventional, parameters of 9 to 5, or doing this job, that job, a bit more, hybrid ways of working to bring solutions to the world that we really need. So step into your bigness.
I don't even know how to follow that. And I was going to say,
you got a cue card though.
And also, when Christine left THT, I bought her a little pin badge that said "Take Up Space" for that exact reason of like women take up space.
Love it. I keep it on my rucksack on a daily basis.
So thank you so much for joining us. Please do like, share, subscribe. It really helps us reach even more people in the sector and have been part of these amazing conversations that we're having. You can find us on Instagram at Raise Charity Pod, and our website, which is thisisraise.co.uk. But for now, cheers, and here's to raising money, voices and glasses.
Cheers. Thank you, Esther. You've been amazing.
Thanks for having
double
me.
cheers.
Wonderful double cheers.